Greetings and welcome to Lesson 2.6, Mixed Number Notation. In this lesson, we're going to concentrate on taking a mixed number notation, which is a whole number and a fraction, and changing it over to an improper fraction, and then also taking an improper fraction and changing it back to a mixed number notation. In very certain circumstances, when we want to do math operations on mixed numbers, we need to first change it over to an improper fraction. So it's good to know how to do that. With a mixed number, it's the same thing as a sum of a whole number and a proper fraction. And if you remember, a proper fraction is where the numerator, the top number, is smaller than the bottom number, the denominator. So with mixed number notation, it's written without the addition sign. But really, it implies addition. It implies sum. So 2 and 1/8 is really 2 plus 1/8. 6 and 5/9 is really 6 plus 5/9. 11 2/3 is really 11 2/3. Note that even though we've had things squished together before, numbers squished together, it doesn't imply multiplication. So 5 3/4 is not the same thing as 5 with parentheses around the 3/4. That would imply multiplication. So how do we change a mixed number to an improper fraction, and why would we want to do that more importantly? Well, if we want to consider the 2 3/4, which is really 2 plus 3/4, that's 2/1 plus 3/4. But again, with adding and subtracting fractions, we need our denominators to look the same before we add the numerators. So I can make a 1 look like a 4 if I multiply the 1 by a 4, but what I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. So 4/4 is just a plain old 1, and multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. It might look differently, but it doesn't change the value of our number. So 2/1 multiplied by 4/4 will get us 8/4. Now I can add the two fractions together. So 8/4 plus 3/4 is 11/4. If you want to think about it, 2 plus 3/4, that's really a whole 1, another whole 1, and 3/4. So if I created just a 1 that's broken up into 4 segments, another 1 broken up into 4 segments, and another 1, but this time I'm only taking 3 of the 4 segments, and you count them all up, that's still going to be 11/4. Now let's try another one, 2 and 1/8. So 2 and 1/8 is the same thing as saying 2 plus 1/8, but I need to again change my 2 to where it has the same denominator as my 1/8 so I can combine them together. So I can always make a 1 look like an 8 by multiplying it by 8, but what I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. So multiply the top by 8. That would give me 16/8 plus 1/8, or 17/8. Now that process takes a long time, and we have a shortcut. We have a method that will allow us to convert mixed numbers to an improper fraction fairly quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the denominator of the fraction and the whole number. To that result, we're going to add the numerator. That is our new numerator for our improper fraction. Keep the denominator the same. The numerator becomes the whole number times our denominator plus our numerator. So let's see that in action. Let's change 5 3/4 to an improper fraction. So once again, I'm going to do this multiplication of my whole number and our denominator. 5 times 4 is 20. But then I need to add the numerator to that. So 20 plus 3 is 23. So our improper fraction is going to be 23/4. And it's going to take a little bit of time, practice maybe, to take on a few of these to get that method down. But it's denominator multiplied by the whole number plus the numerator will become our new numerator. So using that process, let's change 6 5/9 to an improper fraction. Again, The whole number times the denominator plus the numerator. So 6 times 9 is 54, plus 5 is 59 over 9. You might be asking why. Why do we have to do this in the first place? Well, if I want to multiply two mixed numbers together, on occasion it's easier to change them to an improper fraction and then multiply just our fractions to get our solution. But generally, when you start with a mixed number, you want your answer to be shown as a mixed number. So now we need something to go from an improper fraction back down to a mixed number. So to change an improper fraction over to a mixed number, there's really no shortcut to it. You just need to do the division. You're going to divide the denominator into the numerator. So 4 goes into 11 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. So our whole number is going to be 2. Our fraction component is the remainder of 3 over our divisor 4. So it's 2 3/4. Okay, let's try another one. The improper fraction of 10/3, we're going to divide 3 into 10. So 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. So our remainder is 1. So our mixed number is going to be our whole number of our 3 and our fraction as the 1 over our divisor of 3. Okay, so it's 1 over 3. So let's change our mixed number of our improper fraction of 208 over 24. So it's going to be 24, and I apologize for my writing. My pen for my service has died, so I'm going to try and use the mouse as best as I can, into 208. Okay. Oh, that's horrible writing, but you get the picture. 24 does not go into 20, so we have to figure out how many times does 20 go into 208. Well, 24 is really close to 25, and I know 25 goes into 100 4 times. So let's try 8. Well, 4 times 8 is 32, and that would be a 2, 3. That's 16 plus 3 is 19. So it looks like it goes in 8 times. Subtract 208 and 192. That's going to get me 16. So my mixed number is going to be the 8 with 16 24ths. But 16 24ths can be reduced. Okay? So it will be 8 and 2/3, because 8 goes into 16, 8 goes into 16 2 times, and 8 goes into 24 3 times. So our mixed number of our improper fraction of 208 over 24 will be 8 2/3. Now let's try the second part, where we want to estimate with our fractions and mixed numbers, and we want to round. So we either want to round down or we want to round up. Now the first thing we need to consider is how do we compare if we're going to round it up or round it down? Because if we had a number like, I don't know, 56, is that closer to 0 or is it closer to 100? Well, if we took a number line, 50 would be our middle point between 0 and 100. Anything 50 and above will round up. Anything less than 50 will round down. Well, 56 is more than 50, so we round it up to 100. With fractions, we want to look at the numerator, but we also want to take in consideration the denominator. The denominator tells us what the halfway point is. For example, our first one of 7/8. What is the midway point from 0 to 8? Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 plus 4 is 8. 4. 4 is the halfway point from 0 to 8. So I'm going to think about that 4. Anything 4 and above, in my numerator, I'm going to round up to the next whole number. Anything below a 4, anything less than a 4, I'm going to round down. 7 is definitely more than a 4, so we're going to round up to the nearest whole number, which will be 1. Now I'm going to ignore this little old 3 out here just for a moment, and I'm going to talk about the 1/5. Again, we look at the denominator, and we think about from 0 to 5, what's the midway point? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. That doesn't quite get us to 5. And 3 plus 3 is 6. That gets us over the 5. So let's consider 3 to be our halfway point. And so now we look at the numerator. If it is 3 and above, I will round up. And if it's less than a 3, I round down. Well, 1 is less than 3, so I'm going to round 3 1/5 down to the nearest whole number. My choices are either 3 or 4. My nearest whole number is 3. Let's take the third example. The third example, 5/8 of 5 and 8/11. Consider the 11, okay? And again, from 0 to 11, where is the halfway point? The halfway point, well, 5 plus 5 will get me 10. 6 plus 6 will get me 11. So technically, the halfway point is 5.5. I'm just going to say 6, just so we have a whole number to compare it to. So anything 6 and above, I round to the next up whole number. If it's less than 6, I'm going to round down. So I look at my numerator, which is an 8. That is greater than 6. So I'm going to round this to my next whole number. So what's my whole number? From a 5 to a 6. And that's how you estimate rounding fractions. So that's it for this lesson. Until next time, be seeing you.